So what I'm going to show you how to do is a simple background cutout with a gradient in the background. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock this background layer, and I can just click the little lock right there and I'll go to layer 0. I could also make a duplicate layer and then delete the background layer. So what I want to do is I want to select the water bottle. So I'm going to go to my quick selection tool, and it is set to plus, and I am then going to select it. Now sometimes you have to watch out for little things that don't get selected. Sometimes these white areas won't be selected, and when you make your selection you'll notice it. So I'm going to make sure that this gets selected. There we go. I'm going to go to my minus tool and just very carefully make sure that I brush this in, and I also want to make sure that that white is minused out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this button here. It's called the selected mask, and when I click it you can see I have different ways that I can view it. Right now I'm on overlay. I could look on it on a blank layer. I kind of like overlay because it gives you a good reference of what it's going to look like cut out. So you can see I have some places here that didn't get selected, and if I move this over I have these tools here. This is going to add to the selection, so I'm going to hover over it for just a little bit, see if it shows up. It's not. And I have my plus minus. So just like a brush, I'm going to use my right and left brackets to make it bigger or smaller, and you just actually go over this just as if it's a brush and kind of paint in. What you're telling Photoshop is, hey, reevaluate this. Look at this little spot. It's different than the other areas. So there we go. And if I need to subtract from it, I can just subtract right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of the edges. So this is a hard selection. So I'm going to smooth it out just a little bit, and I'm going to shift the edge into the product a little bit. What this is going to do is it's going to give me a softer edge on the side. Let's see if I can go. There we go, and you can see if I go in, it's not going to show. But I'm going to shift the edge in just a little bit and click OK. And then I'm going to go Command-Shift-I and hit the delete button. I now have a transparent background. I'm going to open up a new document. And 5x5 is fine. It's a white background. Good. Click Create. Go back to my original cutout, and now I can select it. Oh, let me hit Command D select. So Command D, select my object, move it into the new tab, let go. If I need to resize it, I can hit Command T and hold the shift button down, and there I go. Nice and centered. It's a little hard on the edges, that's okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this yellow color. So I will go to my eyedropper tool, and I will select that there. Go to my background, and I'm going to add a gradient. Now this is in the adjustments layer, so it's going to add a new adjustment on top of this background. There it is. And you can see, because I made that selection, it was already set to yellow, and it went to white here. Move it down to radial, and you can see I can even click and grab that that gradient and move it around. So I'll click OK, and you can see if I did this in opposite order, this would actually be in front of the object, so I want to move it right down here. But let's say I want a black background, so I'm going to click on my background, click the default button here, make sure my background color is set to black. I'm going to hit Command Delete, and that's going to fill it with black. So there, that's a little more dramatic background. All right, so everything else is pretty good. If I want to, I can go to this layer and maybe I can soften it just a little bit. but for the most part, that's a really good cutout. Now, in some of the examples I showed you, I made multiple ones of these, and I just went to my move tool and I actually hit Alt. Make sure you're on the right layer, and that will actually copy something. You can see, I'm gonna do it. When I hit Alt, you can see how the arrow changes a little bit. There we go. Command T to make it a little smaller. Hold down the Shift button. Hit Enter to place it. Go back to this layer. Hit Command T. Hold the Shift button. Enter. Let's get it roughly in the same place. And then what I had done is I went to the adjustment or the fill layer, and I chose hue and saturation. This button will only affect the layer below it, so I'll click it. You can see the icon right there, and then I changed the hue. This is going to be a kind of a neon color. There we go. Oh, that looks pretty good. And I'll go to the other one. Hue and saturation. Whoop, wrong one. Hue and saturation. There we go. All right. Now you don't have to do multiple products like this. It's just one of those cool things to know about. If you add a white background here, switch it to white, Command Delete. I could have gone to the layer or the object and then gone to the effects and chosen drop shadow. You can see what a drop shadow does. We'll add a black area around it, makes it look a little more three-dimensional, and that's pretty dramatic right there. I can also move it so we can direct it how the light's coming in. There we go. All right, so what I would do is I would do that on all three of these here, so it would add a drop shadow. I could also control click and go copy layer style, and then go to the other pieces, control click or right click, and paste those layer styles. All right, so that's how you make a cutout with a gradient background. Good luck.